Tonight, on the other hand, is, as Woj would say, big game.
It's a massive game between the Wings and the Capitals. The Wings are chasing the Capitals now for the wild card race. They are a point behind. Obviously, if they win this game, they vault ahead of Washington with just 11 games left going into tonight. But Stoney, today is also March 26th.
Oh.
And March 26th is one of those dates in sports history, in Detroit sports history, that fans will always remember.
Yep.
It was 27 years ago. 27 years ago. Red Wings taking on the Colorado Avalanche at the beautiful air-conditioned Joe Louis Arena.
Yes, indeed.
And it was Igor Larionov, of all players, that got the thing started when he was checked into the boards by Peter Forsberg, and Igor turns around and just jumps Forsberg, touching off an amazing brawl that felt like it lasted forever. Not only that shift of fights where you did, obviously Darren McCarty going right after Claude Lemieux, Brendan Shanahan with his hands full of, I forget if he had his hands full with Patrick Waugh and then threw him aside to take on Adam Foote, and then you have the goalies going at it. It was an amazing scene at Joe Louis Arena.
Yeah.
And an amazing scene that
Were you there?
I was not there. I was working that night, and I was actually producing that night, and our show went on at 10 o'clock at night with the Mega Man. And I was at a friend's house watching the game because he lived close to where the radio station was. So I done a lot of prep work beforehand, went over to my buddy's house to watch the game. And then my buddies were going to go out to the bar. I'm like, I got to work. And my friends are like, well, just stay here and just lock the door and leave. I said, okay, great. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Did I just see this? Couldn't wait to get back to the station. And we talked about it all night long. And
At least you got to see it
absolutely amazing. Oh, you did not?
I was in the hospital.
Oh.
It was right. I had I had a tumor removed from my mesentery. And I had Harper Hospital.
What's a mesentery?
Like around your intestines.
Okay.
And I had to listen to the game, Kenny Cal calling on the radio. Listen to the game on the radio because in my room, they didn't have pass.
Right.
So I couldn't watch it. And God love the Ilitch organization. We've said some critical things. I've said some critical things about them over the years, but mostly it's been positive. But I'll never forget the next day, wheeled into my hospital room was an old VCR with a VHS of the game, and I watched the game the next day.
No kidding.
Yes,
they did that for you,
and with pizza.
That's awesome.
Yes,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
so many crazy things about that game and that fight, and how many fights there were, and I mean, just the lineup that both teams had. We talked last week when the Red Wing fans are bitching about the Red Wings aren't tough enough. They need an enforcer. They need this. They need remember back when Bob Probert and Joe Kocur. Yeah. The team that they had, both teams, because the Avs were so good as well, just stocked top line to fourth line with everything you needed on a hockey team. The guys that could fend for themselves were good hockey players.
Oh,
I mean, obviously, we talked about McCarty, Brendan Shanahan, Martin Lapointe.
How about on there, Adam Deadmarsh?
Yeah, Deadmarsh was, and Adam Foote.
Yes.
These guys were very good. And they had other guys that, had roles to play.
The only guys that really never fought were Eiserman, the two 19s, the two captains.
Right, and
Sakic
Joe Sakic.
Yeah.
Really amazing how both teams were constructed, and the goalies go at it that night, and it's great. The announcers on TV for Pass, Mike Goldberg, they just did 1 year with the Red Wings, one or 2 years with the Red Wings, and then went on from that to do UFC events.
Yes, he did.
With Joe Rogan for years. But was the announcer for the Red Wings back then. I think he's even joked and said, that game got me a lot of practice for what I was about to do with the UFC.
He was not very popular here for some reason.
No.
Because he kept calling Mike Vernon's, I believe, the pillows.
Well,
he called the pads the pillows. If my memory is correct, I don't know.
Yeah, and also because of who he was replacing at the time. It had Dave Strader and Mickey Redmond, and Dave Strader was awesome,
terrific.
It was just fantastic.
Rest in peace, Dave.
Yeah. So when you filling in for him, I don't think Red Wing fans were all that thrilled with it. So he was not really going to get off on the right foot. Was Ken Daniels right after him?
Yeah.
What a transition.
Yes.
Because Ken Daniels has been amazing.